Welcome to Jurassic Reviews. Today we are going to look at a new figure from X+, the 30cm RIC exclusive Godzilla -1. Before we start, if you enjoyed these videos, be sure to like and subscribe. Here's a look at the large box. Just your typical X+ box with a shot of the figure, and you can see the yellow RIC sticker. This Godzilla stands around 12 inches tall and is 22 inches long from head to tail, so it's a pretty large figure among this line. Right out of the gate, I think this sculpt is fantastic. I really dig the Godzilla -1 design, and I think it might be one of my favorites of the entire series. I don't think I have talked about it yet, but I loved Godzilla -1. I saw it 5 times in theaters, including the minus color version. I think it's in the top 3, right up there with GMK and Mothra vs. Godzilla. This figure is actually my second Godzilla -1 figure in my collection. I have yet to pick up any of the Bandai figures, and just got the D for Real last week. The only other thing I have that's similar is the Godzilla the Ride from X+, of which this design is really close to, though I think this has a lot of improvements. Here's a comparison between the two, where you can see some of the differences. The torso is a bit more thin on the Ride version, and the scales are a bit different as well. A major difference is the dorsal plates, with the -1 version having more sharp, spiky plates. This -1 figure has some awesome detail packed in. I love the variation in the scales all over it. It really looks like a creature of the sea. The areas around the chest in particular look really cool looking. So there is a few things I feel are slightly off, and it mostly involves the head sculpt. I think this figure looks the best from side angles, but head on the eyes feel a bit too spread apart, and the head itself looks more narrow to me than it does in the film. Like I said, it only looks a little off to me when looking head on. Other areas like the dorsal plates look really good. They are really sharp and have this nice texture on each of them. This is the RIC version, so it's when Godzilla is getting ready to use his atomic breath. And unfortunately, I think these dorsal plates are the same as the standard. They aren't sticking out a bit like they were during the film. I'm assuming we'll get something like that down the line. This figure also features a tail stand, which these tail stands don't bother me, but I do kind of wish they would have went with the tail being on the ground for this one. I don't think we ever saw Godzilla in a pose like this during the film. It's in a pretty neutral pose, and as a result, it's a very long figure, so make sure you have the shelf space for it. Moving on to the paint, this figure has an amazing paint job. Most of the figure is painted a dark gray, but there is brownish highlights found throughout it, which really makes the scales pop. It just makes them look so organic and gnarly looking. There's even the lighter brown near its mouth, where he regenerated after being hit by the mine in the film, leaving a scar there. It's a really nice detail. The fingernails are painted white, and the toenails are a dark gray. I'll have to compare this one with the standard when I get it, but on this one the paint job gets lighter towards the dorsal plates. The dorsal plates are varying shades of blue, with the inner parts lighter and the outer parts darker. These plates are translucent, and really stick out on this figure and look awesome. Again, it's a shame they are not sticking out more like they do in the film, but it's still nicely done here. I'm glad they went with this instead of a light up, which I'm never really a fan of. There is also blue found in its mouth, including his tongue. Here you'll also see some red paint for the gums and white teeth. The eyes are white and yellow with black pupils. So yeah, the paint job is a real highlight for me, and really brings this figure to life. Here's a comparison with some other X Plus figures. Here it is with the Godzilla 1984 Cybot. Here it is with the Sakai Shin Godzilla. Here it is with Godzilla 2014. Here it is with Space Godzilla. And here it is with Mechagodzilla. So I think I'm going to give this figure an 8.5. I think the sculpt is awesome despite some things looking off to me, like the position of the eyes, but the details found throughout this figure more than make up for it. And like I said, the side angles look great, and the more I think about it, the more it seems like a nitpick to me. The paint job is wonderfully done, and really has a great presence, with the blue dorsal plates contrasting well with the darker gray on the rest of the figure. I do wonder if they'll release another version of this figure with the dorsal plates sticking out more. That would be a little annoying after buying this one. Still, in the meantime, this is a really sweet Godzilla -1 figure, and I'm glad to add it to the collection. I recommend it. So that's my review of the X Plus Godzilla -1 RIC exclusive. Thanks for watching and see you next time.